Hey guys, this is Cruise Roy with the FLYWING FW450 V3. I bought mine in a crash and I couldn't find an ESC for it, and so mine has a V2.5, I mean a 2.0 ESC in there. I cannot run 6-cell in my V3 as of yet. I haven't been able to find a brand new one, and I guess now they changed to the version 4. What I want to talk about is someone sent me their V3 ESC, and what I wanted to talk about, let me zoom in here, get as close as I can. Let me move my heli out of the way. So this is the FLYWING, the version 3 that can handle a 6-cell. And it's a 60 amp ESC, and of course, as you guys know, FLYWING's got the market on this because it's the only 2-in-1 around, except for ones that Blade and Horizon make. That's why there's 2 servo lines coming out. The 3-wire one is for your main motor, and the single wire is just the signal to your tail. And it also has the tail extension hanging out of it. So this is the only way you can get an ESC for your FLYWING helicopter, which it's not like regular helicopters. If you want a Castle Link or if you want a Hobby Wing, you can buy whatever you want. You can even buy a $2 one and make your heli fly, but the way FLYWING did it here, you have to buy it from them. I noticed that mine doesn't have these grill vents on the bottom, but heat does rise, so this is not really a good idea. It's not really doing anything. People have had problems with the direct connect here, which is a good idea, but any pressure of the heli hitting the ground, it kind of tends to break the 2 solder points in here. This one was sent to me because they put it in the heli. They crashed the heli, rebuilt the heli, put a brand new one in. This is brand, I mean, you can look at this thing. There's nothing wrong with this. It never caught fire, you know. But what I did see, I don't know if it's operator error from pulling the plug out, there is a little nick in the main motor. These are M360s, M60 I think connectors, but anyways, I do see a little nick in there, and this goes to the main motor. And what happened is, he just put this in his heli. He flew the heli. He said it hit a shrub, and it popped instantly. It's like, if you ever seen a helicopter crash, people flying, look on YouTube. They call it the chicken dance. These ESCs just don't blow up. They run these blades until the helicopter's completely annihilated, or it falls apart, or you can find the shutoff switch and pull it. But I've seen helicopters completely annihilate themselves. So, good thing this one pops the minute the blade hits the ground, which, good or bad. But I just told him to send it to me. I wanted to take a look at this thing. They put some kind of shrink wrap here. It looks like it's fiber rated. It's got fiber in it. It's got a barcode sticker on here. I guess that's a void if you pop it open. I mean, he tried to call for a new one, and I think he didn't get any good answers. They kind of said it was his fault, but I didn't see the flight. I'm not going to judge anybody. I'm not going to judge FLYWING. Electronics are pretty, usually like in a car, you buy electronics and you own them, you know. What I don't like is that is hard aluminum in the case right here, and this wire moves around with the heli, and it could cut itself eventually on the aluminum. In the back here, where you have your 2 servo wires, your tail wire, and your voltage link come out, which is probably for the telemetry part of the bird. But I noticed, like I said, this heavy fibered shrink wrap, but if you pull it, it's not even inside the casing. And again, we have non-silicone wires. Normally helicopters, all their wires are silicone. and they can chafe up against that, which, I mean, these things don't last long enough for these wires to chafe. I mean, they've sold a lot, yes, and there's a lot of people say they're not having issues, but there are some people that are still having calibration issues and flight problems, and they crash, and the minute it hits the ground, poof. So anyways, when you put this in your heli right now, this one, I have no main motor. I even tried it in mine just for the hell of it. It does have tail motors, but it does not have the main motor. So what I figured for you guys today, I know you've seen the pictures, but I want to see what's going on in here. Maybe something went wrong. So let me start first with the barcode. Doesn't really mean anything. You're never going to get a warranty out of these when they smoke anyways. They catch on fire and they're going to tell you it's something else anyway, so not worried about that. Get my trusty screwdriver here. And we're just going to take a look at this thing. Let me back up a little bit. But FLYWING supposedly coming out with the V4. The gentleman that gave this to me, he purchased the V4. To me, it looks similar. He'll break his warranty if he opens it up, but I'd like to see the insides of it. Here's your inside lower, no, that's your upper casing with the writing on it. A little bit of CNC magic in there. Push that aside, and we're just going to pull this up. And someone said this is thermal paste. It's kind of a two-phase paste. It might be thermal, you know, but it really isn't. I've never seen a tape that's thermal. It could be. I usually just use my own paste. But let me get all these little screws out of the way here. So what we're trying to do is kind of take a peek in here and see what's going on. I'm going to put down my super glasses and maybe just point. So you have a regular standard XT60 connector that's soldered to a board. It don't look bad. I mean, a little bit of pressure here and there, but it's also inside the aluminum casing, so it shouldn't flex that much. The capacitor right up front here, it looks like 330 microfarads. This chip here with the 220 on it, this is usually a heat element. It's like getting the heat away from everything here. It absorbs the heat. Someone can bounce in and let me know. I'm not an electrical engineer. I've just seen them before. And these are just circuitry chips. They're not really the MOSFETs. But most ESCs, I mean, this thing here says it's got a digital number of 3230 amp. So why would it be 30 amp if this is a 60? It says a 30 amp 15. So 30 and 15 would be 45, not 60. So what I'm gathering, this thing has a 30 amp main motor and a 15 amp tail motor. And they have the version number here, I think. Alright. But I'm looking around here and I got my goofy big glasses on, my lops. Besides soldering being a big glob, a little glob, everything else looks pretty normal to manufacturing specs. I see a glob of solder coming across two chips here on the outer and the lower here. I don't know what that's all about. In the future I'll peel back all this black adhesive or tar or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, when you flip it over the other side, but that amazes me. You got 30 amp and 15 amp. So this is a 45 amp ESC. The way I can find out is from the MOSFETs. And these are the FETs right here. Any ESC that you would open up, you'll see these FETs. So there's usually 2 per wire, 1, 2, beep, 1, 2, beep, 1, 2, beep. Most motors are 3-phase. And the same thing with the tail. You have these little guys. You know, boom, boom, wire, boom, boom, wire, boom, boom, wire. Now, you can run a meter across these for ohmage, and it'll tell you if you have a bad Moffett. The problem is, I've watched it on YouTube. You can remove these. You can purchase the Moffett. The numbers are on them. I don't know if you can see them, but they have little identification marks. You can purchase these. When it comes to these, I only see this little tiny nick, like a bubble right there in this one. But otherwise, they don't look bad. That's what the problem with this is. I'm looking at it, and none of the Moffetts are popped, which sometimes they explode. So there wasn't a lot of force on this unit to die. Like I said, let me bring this up. This is the only thing I see is this nick in this connector. But it didn't hit any of the leads, so it's just probably from hitting the ground when the helicopter crashed. So, like I said, I don't see a lot of wrong in here. So if FLYWING you're watching, why is there nothing noticeably wrong? I mean, even the capacitor. Biggest thing with capacitors, you just look right here. See these lines? It's kind of meant to explode right there if there's a bad, and that would be too easy. But anyways, let me get my lops out of my face. Move the screws. What I want to do is just show you something quick and easy. Put it down. What I'm going to do simply is turn on my meter. Here's my meter. I'm just going to put it on resistance with noise. Put it close enough so you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear that. So anyways, we know it's the main motor. Kind of know it is just because we've tried it. See if I can get a little closer. But there's the connector to the motor. Now, if you touch any of these leads, there's the 3 leads to the motor. You touch any of these leads and you get that beep, there's a Moffett that's fried. You should be able to touch any of these. See, like these 2, I touch them, no sound. I'll touch these 2, no sound. But if I come over here, alright. So like I said, you can look up the information. I'm not going to get too involved with this, but I know it's dead, unfortunately. If FLYWING's in here, do they notice anything that I don't? But this one here, the main motor's dead. The tail motor works, but the whole ESC is useless because it's a 2-in-1. If they had 2 separate ESCs, at least if the motor ESC got hurt. But like I said, maybe I'll show you a little clip at the end of this of a chicken dance. These ESCs that are in the big helis, they don't give up. Unless you find you get all nervous and you don't hit your stop switch, these helicopters destroy themselves, and ESC is still good. For some reason, the FLYWING hits the ground, they crack here, they short out, catch the LiPo on fire. ESC is no good, and the LiPo is no good, and what's connected to your controller, these two wires right here, so that does a power surge. A power surge also goes through the two servo wires, and if you're lucky, you might be able to save your motor. Let me back up. Oop, wrong way. Okay, so that's all I wanted to do tonight, was open this up. It was sent to me. I looked over it as much as I could with these lops. I have these lops that you can kind of wear on your head, and you can look as close as you want. And like I said, I just see a little nick in one of the Moffats. That's all I see, is a little tiny nick, and these things shouldn't pop like this. So if anybody has the new version for ESC and you feel like taking 4 screws out and a sticker and looking inside, I did notice from some pictures that in the back, this part is altered a little bit, and they cut it wide open, so it's like open to the air. It is the bottom, but it's open to the air, and if you can get water and moisture in there, that's bad for your heli too. You know what I mean? But hopefully this helps someone out. I might take this one and modify it. I might modify this ESC and see what happens. But this was sent to me from somebody, I will not mention his name, but ESC did not replace it, FLYWING did not replace it, because it was a crash, and like I said, it has minimal damage that I can see, and it should have never failed. But that's me, not here to start problems. But it's Cruise Roy. I hope this video helps someone out, and I'm out of here.